At Thanksgiving, my cousin mocked my job in front of the entire family, loud enough for the kids in the next room to hear, loud enough for even the turkey to feel embarrassed for me. But instead of getting angry, instead of shrinking the way I used to when I was younger, I did something that terrified him far more than yelling ever could. I smiled. A calm, tiny, almost gentle smile. Because I already knew something he didn't. Something that would flip the entire family upside down before dessert was served. I'm Annabelle, 32 years old, and for most of my life, I was the relative people forgot to ask about. The one they dismissed politely, the one they pitted quietly, the one they assumed was still finding her way. Funny how wrong they were. But let me take you back to the moment everything truly began to shift. Because the revenge didn't happen at Thanksgiving. No, the revenge started years earlier, without anyone noticing, not even me. Growing up, my family was complicated. Not dramatic enough to be a TV show, but not peaceful enough to be a Hallmark movie either. My mother and father loved me, but they were traditional. Very traditional. They wanted me to choose a path that made sense to them: lawyer, doctor, accountant, something they could brag about at Bible study or when running into neighbors at the grocery store. My cousin Lucas, meanwhile, was the golden child, not just in his own house, but in the extended family. He was loud, handsome, charming, and dangerously charismatic. Even as kids, the adults would beam at him the moment he entered a room. Lucas could spill grape juice on my grandmother's white rug, and she would laugh and say, "Boys will be boys." If I breathed too close to the rug, I got a lecture. Lucas and I were the same age, but not the same anything. He grew into the type of man who tells everyone they should be grateful just to be in his presence. You probably know the type: suit too tight, cologne too strong, voice too loud, handshake too aggressive. Every year, he'd show up to Thanksgiving bragging about promotions, new suits, new watches, new cars he test drove just for fun, and vacations he never actually went on. I never challenged him. Not once. Not because I couldn't, but because for years I thought humility meant silence. I thought patience meant letting others walk over you. I thought being the nice one was something to cling to even when kindness was used against me. Then everything changed on the Thanksgiving when I was 25. Lucas stood up in front of the entire family and congratulated himself for taking leadership roles in life. Then he turned to me, put his hand on my shoulder, and said loudly, "And we support Annabelle while she's still figuring her career out. She's got a good heart. She'll get there." My mother didn't correct him. My father didn't defend me. My aunts smiled politely. My uncles nodded. The kids laughed without even knowing why. And I felt something inside me snap. Not in anger, but in clarity. I realized I didn't want their validation anymore. I wanted my own life, my own lane, my own identity. So that winter, I quit my corporate job and started my own online business. I didn't have investors, or mentors, or a family cheering from the sidelines. I had a laptop that overheated when I opened too many tabs, a desk from Facebook Marketplace, secondhand headphones, and a will that felt almost feral. 4 years later, I had built something massive, quietly, intentionally, privately. No social media bragging. No family updates. No announcements. I grew my agency with discipline that shocked even me. I worked nights, weekends, birthdays, holidays. I lost friends. I gained purpose. I hired staff. I scaled strategically. Most importantly, I learned that the people who mock your dreams are the ones most terrified you'll succeed. Which brings us back to this Thanksgiving. Aunt Meredith, the unofficial queen of the family, insisted on hosting. Her house is massive, white columns, big iron gates, chandeliers that look like they came from a palace, and a dining room so polished you see your reflection in the silverware before you see it in a mirror. I arrived early, holding a carefully wrapped box. Inside it wasn't pie or cookies or cake. It was something far sweeter. My aunt kissed my cheek, barely noticing me as she rushed back to the kitchen. Lucas wasn't there yet. Good. The air felt breathable without his ego inflating the oxygen supply. When he finally arrived, 15 minutes late, of course, he entered like a politician ready to campaign. Coat over his shoulder, sunglasses on his head, even though the sun had set, cologne clouds surrounding him. He did that dramatic laugh he's known for, shaking hands like he was accepting an award. I sat in the corner, watching him soak up admiration like a dry sponge hitting water. Then dinner started. Conversations flowed. Kids giggled. The turkey was carved. Wine was poured. Things were going well. Until Lucas opened his mouth. He waited until the entire table was quiet. He always did. Timing was his weapon. "So, cousin," he said, turning to me with a smirk, "you still doing that, what do you call it, content hobby? Influencer assisting? Digital doodling? Something like that, right?" My fork froze for half a second. His mother laughed, as though he had delivered a stand-up comedy line. My uncles chuckled. My father stared at his plate. My mother whispered, "Lucas," but she didn't say more. I felt my pulse in my fingertips. Steady. Controlled. Prepared. Everyone watched me, waiting for my reaction. Waiting for me to shrink. Waiting for me to apologize for existing. Instead, I took a sip of water, placed my glass down slowly and said, "You'll see." He blinked. "See what?" "Dessert," I replied. He rolled his eyes. "Oh, please. You brought cupcakes. Did you make a logo for them, too?" Laughter. But not from me. I stayed quiet through the main course, through the awkward conversations, through the subtle looks of pity I caught aimed my way. But internally, I was replaying the plan I'd been forming for months. I waited for the moment when Aunt Meredith stood, clapped her hands, and announced dessert. The room buzzed. Everyone got up to help. Kids ran around. People stacked plates. Chairs scraped. Wine glasses clinked. This was it. I excused myself and walked upstairs. My heart beat louder now, not out of fear but anticipation. The wrapped box waited on the bed. I picked it up. Heavy. Perfectly heavy. When I walked back downstairs, everyone paused. My aunt blinked. "Sweetheart, what is that?" "A dessert of sorts," I said. Lucas laughed. "What? A DIY project? A vision board? A sponsor certificate from some website?" I ignored him. I set the box on the center of the table. "I'd like everyone's attention," I said softly. Conversations died immediately. I unwrapped the box slowly, so slowly that Lucas began bouncing his knee impatiently. Dramatic timing. Oh, I learned it from him. Inside the box was a large, framed contract. I pulled it out. "This," I said, "is my newest business partnership. Signed last week." My aunt frowned. "Business partnership? With Brightforge Technologies," I said. Dead silence. Lucas's wine glass nearly slipped from his hand. "Brightforge," he whispered. "As in Bright Forge, Bright Forge." "Yes. That's impossible." "It happened. Brightforge doesn't hire freelancers," he blurted. "They didn't," I answered. "They hired my company." I watched the realization hit him like a truck. I removed the next item from the box, my company's financial report. I opened it. This year, my agency earned $4.3 million. Next year, we're expanding. I'm opening my first office building. I've hired 8 employees and plan to double that by summer. My mother gasped. My father dropped his fork. My aunt covered her mouth. My uncle's face went pale. The kids froze in the doorway. But Lucas looked like the floor had disappeared under his feet. But I thought, everyone thought you're not even. Posting my life. I finished. Showing my wins. Seeking validation? No. I don't need applause to accomplish something. The shock grew heavier. But the real twist was still coming. I reached into the box and pulled out the last set of documents. "Before dessert," I said, "I want you all to have these." I handed out folders. Inside each was a branded card, a discount voucher, a partnership offer, a personal note. Every gesture radiated generosity. But then came the moment everything snapped. Lucas's folder was different. He opened his, frowned, and then looked at me with pure dread. What is this?" "A letter from Bright Forge," I said. His lips trembled. "They informed me during our briefing call that your division was eliminated in the recent downsizing. You were laid off 3 weeks ago." A gasp cut through the room like a knife. "And," I continued, "they said you didn't qualify for rehire because of multiple complaints about your behavior." My aunt's face drained of color. My uncle grabbed the table. "You lost your job," she shouted. He swallowed. Hard. I I didn't want to tell anyone until you had someone else to humiliate first. I asked softly. He stood up so fast his chair fell backward. You planned this, he said, voice quivering. No, I replied calmly. You created this. I simply let the truth speak. He stormed out. He didn't slam the door. He practically tore it off the hinges. What followed was a storm without rain. Voices raised. Blame scattered. Apologies poured. Regret bubbled up like boiling water. My parents hugged me. My aunts apologized. My uncles congratulated me. The kids stared like I'd become a superhero. And me, I just breathed. For the first time in years, I breathed without weight on my chest. The weeks after Thanksgiving were transformative. My parents began asking about my life, genuinely. My mother framed my bright forged contract. My father visited my office for the first time and cried. My aunts started promoting my business to their friends. My uncles bragged about me to their coworkers. And Lucas, he eventually reached out. With an apology. A real one. Not the fake kind he was known for. He got therapy. He got humbled. He got quiet. And surprisingly, it made us closer. Not instantly, but gradually. He became human. The revenge wasn't about crushing him. It was about revealing truth, my truth. About earning respect without begging for it. About choosing myself, even when my family didn't. About rewriting the narrative they built around me. If you've ever been underestimated, if you've ever been mocked by family, if you've ever felt small in rooms where you deserve to be seen, tell me where you're listening from.